right, looks like we got a pretty good crew today, and we're straight up 10 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks again for all of you guys joining on these webinars. They seem to be helping us throughout the state get some of our policies and procedures worked out and make sure we're all on the same page, and we hope to kind of move forward with that today as well. We have a few topics that we feel like we need to get aligned on. Not going to take too long here at the beginning, but we love seeing you. So turn your cameras on if you got them. We appreciate. We've been seeing more people on camera. It really helps us out. Makes these more engaging. We appreciate that. So with that, I am going to turn it over to, I believe Brian is first. Brian.
Yep. Good morning, everybody. What's the next slide, Mr. Fletcher? All right, update on the district reorg. As of yesterday, well, let me back up. We broke the reorg into phases, and phase one is the ADA of construction, the ADA of maintenance, and the assistant ADA of maintenance. Those positions have been turned into civil service. We had a functional review and draft approval to move forward, and we broke it into one district. So we submitted District 02 as our pilot to get approved. As of yesterday, all the requests and questions were answered and turned in, and the final package delivered to civil service. We're looking for imminent approval today or tomorrow. Once we receive that approval from civil service, we will begin the hiring process. The other districts, we have all the packages ready to be turned in, and then there's just a few odds and ends that we need to add to those, and then they'll kind of fall in like dominoes as we go. The sole purpose of doing, one district at a time was to get everything right, dot all our I's, cross all our T's, get it approved by civil service, and move forward. I look that we will be hiring, opening those positions to hire in the near future. Phase two of the reorg is the other positions that are being changed. So there's some other changes that are happening at the districts. One of those is moving the project engineers up a level, as well as some of the other positions within the district. And Mr. Roby can maybe field questions on those if we have any, but those are not being put off. We are actively pursuing the subsequent phases and moving the process along. The idea there was that we get these new positions, these district construction engineers and the new maintenance positions created and hired, so we can move forward with that and start transitioning to this new change management situation. So that's where that is. Next slide. All right, so some of you, as you are aware, we are or have been under a hiring freeze, but construction has been classified as a critical service. Obviously, we need project engineers and inspectors to run our projects. So if you have positions that are open and need to be filled, we will move forward with those. I was just asked to share that information. Main thing is that when we submit those requests to hire, is that we do the proper justification, whether that's a workload analysis or how the duties are being accomplished with those positions that aren't filled right now. If someone's having to do additional work, or we're having to cover it using other employees or overtime, how are those duties being performed? One of the examples we had here at Headquarters Construction was our pre-stress inspectors at the plants, and we actually had to shut a plant down for the day because we did not have adequate inspection. So obviously, that's a critical service that we perform. Those positions have to be hired. We wrote that up. It was promptly approved, and we're moving forward with those. So just be cognizant of that as we move forward, that, we're under a lot of scrutiny right now, and we need to have justification if we're hiring positions that need to be filled, not just because we have open TO, but because those are necessary. Next slide, please. All right, everyone's probably tired of hearing me talk about the project viewer. So there's some changes. If you haven't seen it, we have a new pre-construction tab, an under construction tab, as well as LPA tab. And then there's a metrics tab that gives us some information. Take a look at that if you haven't seen it. We can attach the link. I think we can give them a link, send it out to everybody so they have the most up-to-date, the one that's live to the public. And point being that now that all of our active projects are out there and able to be viewed by the public, we're under much more scrutiny to get all of our paperwork and our projects in order. So we've been running some analysis on those projects and active projects, and that's what the next couple of slides are about. One of the main things, I think it's on the next slide, is that the date that we're pulling that shows open to traffic in the project viewer is the date that our project engineers are completing in the project progress update form. That form, it states, please consider the following when determining the estimated project completion date. Again, any unprocessed change orders, associated delays, impacts on adverse weather, planned work stoppages, the current status of charge days. The estimated date will be used for reporting project completion to our external facing website. So there's been some confusion there. We're calling it estimated project completion, and on the website, it's open to traffic. And the reason that is because the public, those that are non-DOT that don't really understand our nomenclatures, that they just want to know when they can use the road, right? So that's why we changed that. Estimated completion for us is when we give the road to the public. So those are the same dates. If our initial push was that when you do an estimate, you update the project progress update form. But as we get new projects out there, they're going to show up prior to an estimate being run. They're going to show up on the project viewer as an active construction project. So as projects come up, we need to complete the project progress update form so that all of those have a date on the website. Next slide, please.
Brian, can I ask a real quick question on that? I had something come up.
Yes, sir.
All right. So if I was talking to a couple of area engineers, and that gets updated with that project update form. And I sent that out yesterday there was 5 or 6 projects of the state. But if that date doesn't change, are they supposed to add that, put the same date every month when they do an estimate?
Yeah. So the point being, okay, every 30 days, this is our opportunity to adjust that target, right? If there's been no substantial changes throughout the month, we haven't had any huge impacts or change orders or issues that push that date back, you put the same date that you put last month. It's just
right, so they're supposed to actively put a date in there every month, no matter if it's changed or not.
Correct.
Okay, that was the question.
Yeah, it's going to keep the last date that was put in, but the point being that we want to get in the habit of actively, managing and measuring that to make sure that everyone's aware of what's happening, that they're keeping track of that date. And if there is movement that we do that monthly, and we're processing estimates monthly. We're looking at schedules. We're looking at how much work they're doing. That shouldn't be a heavy lift. Here's the current. We're at 93%. These are active projects that have been on the project viewer since we implemented this back last summer. So 173 of the 185 projects out there. Now these could be LPA projects. These could be, where we have a consultant that's running the project for us, or they're our project engineers. But there's a list of projects that we're going to be sending out after this meeting. And as you can see, we're not yet 100% compliant. So some of those projects, next slide, please. Those projects are blank right now when we look at the open to traffic date. Now, a lot of these have started in the last 6 months. So you may not have even run the first estimate. The issue being, until we put a date in there, it's blank. And this is an issue that was created because of the project progress or the project viewer website, we're being much more open, much more transparent with what we're doing, which makes us have to actively manage our projects. So, I don't have an issue with that. The more information we have, the better we can perform. This is a list of LPA, DOTD projects, and CE&I projects that are missing the project progress update form.
Hey,
Next slide.
real quick, this particular slide is just projects that have happened in like with estimates, recent estimates. So we just want to make that clear. And you guys, Chad sent that out yesterday. I already saw some of these are coming off the list. So if you did them, just disregard that already.
Yep.
Hey, Brian.
Yep.
This is Jeff Cannella. Hey, we're having our equipment rodeo today, and some of my area engineers are doing the judging, so they're gonna have to watch the video later. But I was asked to ask a question. So I know we have two projects that are not on the project viewer, and both of them are on LA 507. One of them's an LTIF project, and the other one is a LA 507 bridges. And another area engineer I heard through this one that told me this, that he may have some in either Washita Parish or Russian Parish. Dean may have some that's not on the viewer as well.
Okay. We'll look into those. There's certain criteria that we are using to populate that list. So if a project is not within that active criteria, it is falling, outside those parameters, it may not be on there. This list in particular, we'll look into that, Jeff. Thank you.
It also might be that we don't have the notice to proceed date. I think that's the trigger for it showing up on the project viewer. So if it was a district let job, and normally we don't get that information up here in construction because y'all are paying it through the district business office, sometimes those notice to proceeds don't get put on there, and so it doesn't show up on the project viewer. So it can mess up some of the data. That also, the same is true for district let jobs and I think Brian's about to get to that, for final acceptance, final inspection, for taking them off the project viewer.
Yep, that's what we're fixing to talk about. Thank you for the segue.
So this is primarily headquarters projects and projects that are in headlight or site manager. If it's not in headlight or site manager, I don't think it would show up, right?
That sounds correct.
Yeah, that should be correct because it's pulling that data.
Yeah, all this is being pulled from site manager and headlight. On the not showing up on the project viewer, there's two pieces needed. It needs something from the contract management system, which is either headlight or site manager, and it needs the GIS information, which we don't control. So if you're on this list, we only scanned against site manager. I'm trying to get a list of what's on the project viewer so we can correlate, so we can check the GIS side as well.
All right, let's keep going. So we've got several lists, 3 lists to be exact, and we're going to be sending those lists out after this webinar. One of the lists is the project progress update forms. That's the one we just talked about. The second list are projects that are greater than 95% complete, but the last estimate was run 6 months ago, and there's no final acceptance. There's no, the project hasn't been cleared out, so it's still showing up as under construction on our project viewer. So what we're looking at, here's the list of projects. Is this project still active? If so, why has no estimate been submitted? We need to update the estimate immediately, or complete the project progress form. If it's not, then we need to send it to final acceptance and move these from under construction showing up on that website to open to traffic, and move those projects over to the late list where they'll be handled, in a different manner. And we'll go through those. And this was kind of a way that we've been circumventing projects falling onto the late list, which we haven't had that lens to be able to look into these and see these. The project viewer has kind of brought that to the surface. So we're This has given us the opportunity to really clean up our information and make sure that we're closing everything out properly. Again, a lot of these projects are older projects, so we have in the past had issues with audit and late list projects, but these projects are older than that. So we're only auditing projects that are going to fall within the last year. So these projects would not fit into that category, but we still need to treat them with urgency and, finish them out and get them off the list. So we're going to send that list out to all the DAs. We ask that you send that list out to all your staff and we get them, we get a status on each of these. Next slide, please. The third list is this list of projects. These are less than 95% complete. So some of these on the list, I've got, 20%, 30%, 71, they're all over the place, right? But they haven't had an estimate run in the last 6 months. So they're kind of outliers. So what we're going to need you guys to do, again, is review these projects and tell us, is the project still active? And then tell us why we haven't been running estimates. Complete the project progress form so we have, if it's still under construction, we have a date that it's going to be open to traffic. That will be updated on our project viewer. And if the project is finished, we need to send it to final acceptance and move them over to the late list. Again, we're cleaning up all this data. It's going to make it much easier to find things and kind of reconcile the issues and, have a clean single source of truth for all of our active projects. So it's going to be a process, but, we're going to keep engaging everyone. We'll keep looking at this list every month on this, through this media, and Chad has already talked to you guys about it. So anything you need from us after we send the list out, just get with us and we'll try to get all these things closed out and resolved. Most importantly is that what's on the project viewer will be accurate. We'll not have false information or incomplete information out there.
Thanks, Brian.
So some of these stand out as district projects, and I guess that means that district projects are also on the project viewer. So I guess we have the same requirement of updating monthly even for district projects.
Yep. If we have a project that's showing up on that project viewer, the public needs to know. We need to communicate that status. This is how we accomplish that. Next slide.
All right, thanks. We're moving over to Caitlin now.
All right, thank you.
All right, I get to talk about sales taxes today. So we met with revenue a couple of times to get some clarification on the new sales tax exemption that was implemented last year. We are no longer paying sales tax on change orders for items that are eligible for this tax exemption. And this is for all active projects across the state. Public contracts that are executed prior to July 1st of 2025 are able to submit a request. However, your extension is not retroactive to purchases made before July 1st. If you have not had an extension, you can still file for a refund. You have up to 3 years after something is purchased to request a tax refund. Revenue did inform us that contractors are submitting refund requests for items purchased several years ago, like way before the exemption became effective. So please only submit requests for items that were purchased after July 1st. They're very bogged down right now with requests. So sending items that are not eligible kind of slows the process down. In addition to the time issue that they told us about, contractors are submitting requests for items that are not eligible. This includes things like hotels, water bottles, and other consumables on a project. Only material and rented equipment are eligible for the exemption. They did just publish on their website yesterday an information bulletin that explains what items qualify and which ones do not. I'm going to have Les send out a link to that when he sends his summary that he does after the webinars. So please review this before you submit your request. And like I said, they're very backlogged right now, so try to give them a little time to go through all those requests. In addition, we've been asked by the districts to provide some clarity on these extensions. to the exemption. So a project runs out of time, which means your exemption runs out. So you have to request to get, I keep getting these words mixed up, an extension to your exemption. Contractors have been requesting that PEs provide approval for them to file extensions once their exemption expires. We did confirm with revenue that PE approval is not a requirement for this, so we will not be providing or issuing PE approvals moving forward. It is the contractor's responsibility to provide supporting documentation as to why you should get an extension. Examples of this that we discussed with revenue that will work are approved change orders that have time extensions in them, as well as estimates that show percent project complete, meaning that, hey, our exemption ran out, but we're only 50% done with the project. That will kind of confirm that, yes, your project is still active. They will also be utilizing our new project viewer that Brian's been talking about to verify these extension requests. So it's very important that PEs continue to update these on a month-to-month basis. We did explain that the estimated open to traffic date is not necessarily the project completion date, and they have made note of that time frame discrepancy when they review these requests. PEs should be reviewing change orders to check that contractors are not charging us sales tax on eligible items, since they can go get a refund for them on their own. And with that being said, I would like to remind everyone that tax fraud is a felony, so please submit accurate requests because revenue does plan to audit your exemptions and refund requests. So if anyone has any questions about that, you can email me after. And like I said, we will send y'all a link to the bulletin, but it is currently live on their website. Okay, RFCO updates. I know y'all are probably tired of hearing us talk about these, but real quick, I did go ahead and get with our team to update our instruction manual on how to upload and use the templates. We know that there have been several iterations, so we're hopeful that this update provides some further clarity on how to use them. The document has been written. We just need to update it to our website, or post it to our website, excuse me. And, ooh, is someone talking? Okay, and I'm also gonna see if Les can include that in his email as well. It just has a couple more screenshots and a little further like walkthrough of each step. And I did want to mention that we're still receiving RFCO attachments and change orders that were never fully approved. So this change order will read as though there's an approved RFCO, but when we click on the attachment, the contractor filled out their part and the rest is blank. And that pretty much defeats the purpose of the form and the whole idea of getting prior approval to get to work. So please do not upload incomplete RFCOs as backup. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Caitlin. Next, we are moving it over to Dallas for some updates on the wait list and some calendar day working day issues.
All right. Late list. All right, so I was working on the late list and it looked like the current projects pretty much stayed the same. The third tier of contracts jumped up by 20. And I was trying to understand why that was the case. And I think it's related to this cleanup that we're doing. So we're going to be cleaning up some of this data in Site Manager and Headlight, and that's going to possibly put more projects on the priority 3 projects. We don't expect the priority 1 projects will get added, many projects too, but the priority 3 will probably increase because of this cleanup process. So if y'all see an increase in projects in priority 3, that's because those projects always existed. We just were not capturing them. And I guess the same process as what we've said before. The first priority is the current year. Clean up the older projects as you're able to, but focus on the current ones. And this same note at the bottom is going to be on the next slide. We're doing this because we're getting heightened scrutiny from the public and legislature. We got a report on these projects, and it's kind of out of our hands at this point. It's something that is going out to the public. So this is something that we have to do, so we are accurately reporting stuff. Next. All right, so we've had a lot of questions about this. We've sent down the guidance that was created in 2014. I don't think we've been adhering to that consistently since 2014, but we are now bringing that back to the forefront as a requirement. Any project that's over 175 working days needs to be a calendar day project. And the primary reason is because legislature and public are paying more attention and we are reporting to them. So we need to be accurately charging time and be able to justify how the time is charged. 175 working days works out to approximately 2/3 of a year, or 8 months. That's a pretty good amount of time. And tracking it in a working day fashion is hard to estimate out the end of the project if you're doing it working day, because you don't charge weekends, you don't charge adverse weather. It's not really built into it. And if you do calendar day, you kind of have a baseline of adverse weather. Weekends are charged, holidays are charged, and it gives a more accurate end date for the project. So we've been in communication with the contract section, and they're going to be sending y'all emails y'all have already received and balked at those emails, but that's what we're moving to. We're going to enforce the memo that was created in 2014. We may update that memo, but the general concept will remain the same. That's it. That's it for that.
Thanks, Dallas. Next, we're going to move it over to Matt with some wonderful news.
Yes, I get to deliver the good news. So good morning, everybody. This is especially useful or need to pay attention for external users. So contractors, consultants, please be aware. First thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to reiterate it several times, this is not something that DOTD Construction is implementing. This is not something that eConstruction came up with or is implementing. So please don't bombard our eConstruction group with questions, comments, whatever. This is a OTS mandate. The Citrix NetScaler is being deactivated on 4/15. So not only is that tax day, but that's kind of D-Day for external access. There was an email that was sent out by Clyde Ashley that several users outside the department should have received. You may have disregarded it as spam or something else, but it is a legitimate email from OTS group letting you know that the external users will no longer have access as of 4/15. So we basically have a month to get everybody up to speed and IDs changed. We understand this is going to be a significant issue. It's all changing to H number IDs, which, as all of you know, that is also the same designation as our project numbers. So we can all kind of come up with the potential problems that are tied in with that, with H number construction projects, H number personnel IDs that also have no discernible distinction between contractor companies or consultant companies, where at least previously your C designation had like the first 3 letters of your company name in there or some abbreviation of your company name in there. Now there will be no discernible distinction between the same users within the same company. So again, problem our e-construction group did not create it. There is a link in that email. So if you didn't get it, it came from Clyde Ashley. So check your spam folders, check your inboxes or deleted folders. It does say to contact Clyde Ashley for any issues, help, things like that. His number is 225-379-1629. His email address is clyde.ashley@la.gov. That's CLYDE.ASHLEY@la.gov. Want to provide that to everybody. The link that was in the email, I did check it. It's not a cornucova worm virus or anything like that. But it does, provide you got to put in your first name, last name, email address, firstborn child, social security, all that sort of stuff. Not really, but a lot of information. It's also a way for OTS to verify. You will end up having to take 2 different training courses. One is the OTS cybersecurity class. The other is another one that I forget what it is, but that's a way for OTS to be able to track that everyone has taken those security classes. So again, not something DOTD is implementing. This is because Citrix is no longer going to be a viable option for accessing our internal site manager workings, or I think even for project wise, any of our internal features. And that goes for other agencies as well. It's not just DOTD. So if you do work with other state agencies, their external systems, they should all be going to H number IDs as well. So just want to put that out there for everybody. Not great news, but please make sure before the 15th that y'all get updated, get that H number, because what we don't want to happen is once April hits, we are doing estimates, change orders, etc., and you do not have access to the system. You're unable to approve estimates. You're unable to approve change orders. And then you still got to take these training courses. And on the back end of all this, our e-construction group will be having to reestablish contract authority, all of that ancillary stuff that nobody really thought about by changing all these IDs. So there's a lot of work that our e-construction group will have to be doing, but the creation of the HIDs is still OTS. So that's who everybody can gnash their teeth at, not us. But that's my, 5 minutes of wonderful news for everybody.
So is it possible that by moving out of Citrix, it'll be in the long term a smoother experience?
Possibly, but I refuse to give any credence to anything that our IT folks come up with as a solution.
I see silver linings and
We,
everything.
we've heard that Site Manager runs much faster on the AVD environment than Citrix is the only silver lining I found out of it. But with our test subjects, it did take like a month for them to get everything set up and straight and figured out and blah, 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 and blah, blah. So yeah, it's been fun.
Matt, could you send me a copy of Clyde's email if you got it?
Absolutely.
We put it in the
Thank you.
group chat as well in the Zoom.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Matt. Now we're moving over to me. So I'm gonna try not to take too long to talk about this so we can get on to the training part of that, but the training part of this webinar. But sometime last month, I did have a situation arise where somebody contacted me about authority of the QA manual on a project. And so we just wanted to cover it real quick. It seems like the inspector, asked the contractor to do something a certain way. Contractor then said how to, show me that in the spec book. Inspector then was like, well, it's not in the spec books in the QA manual. Contractor then didn't care, but that's not really the way it works. The QA manuals that the materials lab produces are contract documents. They are referred to in the specs. They are contractually required and referenced in spec 10605. And then that 10605 is under the contractor quality control section. And so they are the LADOTD quality assurance manuals, but they, we just want to say that they give more detail than the spec book is actually able to put in there. So just some, little things like, I believe the QA manual calls out, how we separate zones for base course and that kind of thing, where the spec book just would be huge if we put all of that stuff in there. So we just want to make it clear to everybody on here, because we have contractors and consultants and DOTD people, that this is part of the contract. And we just, when somebody asks you that, we would say, contractors, if you need to get a copy of this, it's on our website. You can go to the materials lab on our website, and all of the QA manuals are there for structural, concrete, paving, embankment, base course, asphalt. So all of that's there. Just get a copy of it. And really, it's like we said, this is more along with your, if it affects your quality control process for the contractors on a job. But anyway, if an inspector is asking you to do something and it doesn't seem like you've ever seen that in a spec book before, the reason is they're probably quoting something out of the QA manual. And that has happened to me back when I was an inspector several times. It was quickly resolved, but we wanted to bring attention to it here since we have seen a issue with it. If you need any more, need us to clear any of that up, feel free to email us after this. So moving on from that, we do have, so we're going to call it training, but in the same sentence as calling this training, this is also gathering some information from you all. We had PE email last week and about time charges. I think that we're all probably pretty clear on what to do if it is just a daytime job or just a nighttime job. But we have found that some issues arise when the contractor is working two shifts, one during the day and one at night, especially when it goes past 12 a.m., right? And so we wanted to call attention to that today, try to get, I will say before we even start this, that even here on the 5th floor, we all have differing opinions on how this should work. And so it's probably good that we're going to bring this up and get some clarity. I won't say that you'll get 100% decision on what you should do today, but we will be providing guidance after this. We want to collect a little info first. And so with that, I'm going to share this short quiz. Can everybody see that? Did it show up? Okay. So take a couple minutes. I'll read this one out loud, but you can read it to yourself if you like. So a highway resurfacing project is operating under a working day contract. The contractor runs two shifts, a day shift from 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and a night shift from 8 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. the following morning. Both shifts typically work on the controlling work item. On Tuesday, 3/17/26, the day shift rains out. The night shift begins at 8 p.m. Tuesday and works through midnight into Wednesday, stopping at 2:30 a.m. Wednesday due to rain. Is it a charge day or a non-charge day? And we'll give you a minute or so to drop your answers in here. Take 15 more seconds.
Well, let's just letting y'all fill that out. I might have forgot to add that we're going to be issuing a construction memo clarifying when the sales tax exemption for no longer paying on change orders was issued. Just a FYI.
Thanks for that update, Caitlin. And I guess everybody saw the second question there. So, and that one's more about how do you document it in a DWR? So do you put both shifts on the DWR for the 317, or do you split the one that stopped at midnight? I can't wait to share these results. But I am upset. It will not, I didn't realize this, but it's not letting me put my answer in. So my answer is not counting towards what I think it should be. I don't like that.
So again, we're just trying to take the pulse of what, you know, what you guys are doing. Not really what you think you should do, but what you're actually doing. And we know there's going to be some variance out there. Like Les said, there's even at headquarters construction, we have differing opinions on this matter. So we're going to get some information from everybody. We're going to talk it through. We're going to put some guidance out. So what does it look like, Les?
All right, I'm gonna end it and share the results here. So you should be able to see.
It is, yeah.
Right down the middle.
Yikes.
That's consistent.
Yep.
Consistently inconsistent.
For both of them. Golly.
This is exactly what we thought we would see.
Well, then this is definitely needed. So let's move on to the next slide. Look, we're not going to tell you which one. We're not going to tell you which one's right on this. Although I'm going to say non-charge day and both reports submitted for the 317 are correct in my eyes. So anyway, on to the next slide. This is it. Brian, are you want to take these?
I mean, we can talk through it. So we're just kind of in conjunction with the question we just asked. You have a day shift that runs from midnight to midnight, right? Or the previous day, midnight to midnight, and then the night shift picks up after 12 noon and runs to noon the next day. Now it can start at 6 a.m. and run to 6 p.m., 8 a.m. to whatever. You know, you have two shifts working, and you have a controlling work item. We're assuming both shifts are working the controlling work item. It's a little easier when only the day shift is doing the controlling item. Next slide.
Well, before we move on here, I think everybody kind of understands day shift. Night shift, I would like to add there that when you, just because it's on the headlight thing, so when you're using headlight, there is a night shift. When you switch to night shift, it starts tracking your DWR from 12 p.m. to 12 p.m., lunch to lunch. And so if they start at 5 and run past midnight, you're not having to switch back to using the search bar to the day before to see what you've been tracking up until that point. And so, you know, just want to call that out. That's usually, and like Brian said, when it's one shift working at a time, usually not an issue. Everybody pretty much understands how to track that, or at least you're consistent in your office on how to do it. The issue when we
this really comes out because we're converting now, you know, to everything to headlight. So we want to make sure that we're doing it consistently with the new software. So the two shifts we're looking at is a 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and then an 8 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. Again, that second night shift going past the midnight mark. So the daily work report, is it one continuous daily work report, or are we doing a day shift, night shift designation? And that's kind of where it's a twofold issue. One, are we charging the day or not if we have two consecutive shifts running on the controlling work item? And then the second ancillary issue is how do we document that in the daily work report? What's the next slide?
Brian, but I want to mention, so one of the things that came up on the question we got this week or last week, whenever it was, is that, you know, one charge comment or, you know, actually 1 day charged per actual DWR, right? So you can't charge them for the morning and charge them for the night shift as well because they're getting two shifts. That's not how it works. So
we can't charge 2 days in one 24-hour period.
Right. So we want to clear that up. That 100% is one charge per day. And as we're talking about this, going past 12 a.m., in my mind, and this is not guidance yet, in my mind, everything that starts on that day goes into DWR, even if you go past 12 a.m. And I'm just giving you that from an inspector's point of view. That's much easier to track. But we'll have to put out some guidance, like this is the other option that we're considering.
Yeah, so this is going to, we're gonna reach out to a handful of folks. We've already talked to some people. The main thing is we knew there was gonna be inconsistent application. That's why we're bringing it to everyone's attention. We also want to speak to, our industry partners on this as well and make sure that everyone's in agreement before we put out the guidance on how we're going to do it. We were thinking about making the decision first and then doing a training and putting out the guidance in the webinar, but we thought that this might be more engaging, actually get some participation in the webinar. So we'll see how it works out. Next slide.
Yep, so we're just on questions now, and somebody commented, so what about the half-day charge and site manager, which somebody from our team, probably Matt, already answered this. We do not charge half days, even if it's an option.
Yeah. We only charge whole days.
Yeah. And the reason why that's there is because Site Manager is a system that is used nationwide. That's not something that we could turn off in the system. So it was an option that other states might utilize. However, we do not utilize that.
Yeah, and then the other question that comes up, the 65% of the workday, does that go to the first 10-hour shift and then the second 10-hour shift, and then we make the decision on the charge or not based on that? Some of the folks that we talk to are combining the hours into a 20-hour day and then looking at 65% of that math. So definitely some inconsistencies. Reach out, talk to us, and we're going to put out some guidance shortly. Any questions on that?
I do see a question here from Vicky about day and night shift and headlight and how that works. I think I either did a webinar on it or made a video, Vicky. I'll try to send that over to you. It can be pretty confusing. I will say, like the first time I tried to do a night shift using headlight, it was a struggle until I figured out how that night shift button works. And that made it much better. Also questions. There was one I thought we missed earlier, unless somebody went back and got it. So District 62 sent this over at the beginning of the meeting. It says, please give an update on the elimination of the layout field book. Now, we might need District 62. We might need a little more clarity there. Are you saying the layout book that the contractor survey turns in?
What was the question, Les, you just asked?
So they asked a question earlier in the meeting. Could we, I'm sorry, let me find it. It's kind of tucked in there. Please give an update on the elimination of the layout field book.
Yeah, so now that we've gone to digital layout and DTMs, are we actually physically requiring a field book which has nothing written in it? That's the question.
Yeah, Lacey's shaking her head yes. So.
Yeah. So in the absence of anything written in the field book, what we've been requiring is that, at least to my knowledge, is that we've required that the contractor actually submit some of the digital files, and we have those, we keep them on file, or we keep them digitally in our project files as we're required to, however many years we're supposed to keep those files. In the event that there's an embankment issue or something to that effect, we have, the as-built condition. But yeah, nobody's going out and taking cross sections in field books anymore. So all the books that we've been getting are just blank.
We haven't really discussed this, Brian, but I do see, I would I would like somebody to check and see if it's possible to upload the file that the contractor gives us into Headlight as a file observation. That would be then part of the documentation, like just capture it in there. If not,
One way to do it.
yeah, but if not, we could probably talk to them and see if we could get that set up as well.
Yep.
I think eventually we're hoping that Headlight will be a repository for most audit documents. Maybe combined with Hall Hub, but
Yep. And that's what we're thinking. I see there's still some talk going on about the shifts and day shifts and night shifts. Usually there's a primary, you'll pick a primary shift that's most often the day shift, unless it's a night shift project. Very seldom do you have the day and the night shift running full bore where that controlling work item is being worked on with both. It's kind of a niche area that this came up, and again, we're gonna talk to everyone and give some feedback in the near future on how we interpret it and guidance on how to move forward. So we're being consistent again, and it has to work within how Headlight allows the inspector to document that. So any feedback, give us a call, talk to us. Contractors as well, we want to hear from you.
so Les, can you include asking for feedback on that question whenever you summarize this meeting?
Sure. I don't mind getting 300 emails.
Yeah, Vicky, to be clear, she's saying be prepared for some upset inspectors. We made that very clear to the executive staff and to HR and civil service when we talked about this. And the answer was from the executive staff, just because it was done a certain way in the past, right or wrong, doesn't mean we need to continue doing it that way. We were very clear when we talked to our HR and our executive staff and civil service that the project engineers being upgraded and getting the pay, that was kind of the pivot point of this whole thing. And if that wasn't going to happen, what's the use in even doing it? So just because something didn't happen in the past is not a reason to continue not doing it in the future. We're trying to do what's right for the department, what's right for our staff, and make this a better place. So we hear you.
Don't see any additional questions, so give you just another minute if you have something.
Well, I've got a few things.
Okay.
We talked about some of the projects that are less than 95% complete, and estimates haven't been run in the last 6 months. Just a reminder, estimates need to be run every 30 days, regardless of if there's no activity or if it's a $0 estimate. We still need to run those estimates. Again, we have that call center escalation sheet that we've been putting out for the last year or so. If you aren't able to get in touch with one of our headquarters personnel, there's an escalation procedure and there's a number on there that you can call that we are tracking, and we guarantee that we can get that issue resolved and called back. To date, no one's called that number. So we would again remind you, we can make that available less with this webinar. If you happen to call multiple times and you're not getting someone, use those numbers. We track that. We keep track of that. We're waiting, things pile up, emails, they fall by the wayside. Other priorities come up. So that's kind of the fail safe there to catch things that fall through the cracks. And then the asphalt pilot, we have the NDT asphalt pilot coming out. One of the projects has been let. It's 16141 LA353 Cypress Island extension. It's already been let using the special provision. And we've got 11 more projects that are coming out. Let's see, 2 in April, 4 in May, three in June, and 1 in July. So that list will be made available. And just keep an eye out, contractors for bidding on those jobs and our project engineers for real, recognizing that there's going to be a new specification for asphalt there. It's, there's some substantive changes in our specification. These are pilots that we're utilizing to review and analyze all the changes we made. Before the job gets kicked off, you need to get in touch with us, Sammy at LTRC, Chris at the Mat Lab, Patrick with LaPave, and make sure, if you need any supplemental assistance getting these projects done, get with us. We can have a rep at the pre-con, whatever we need to do to make sure that you guys, get the help you need. So again, we'll put that list out very shortly. We just got the full list yesterday. That's all I had, guys. I think we've answered all the questions in the chat. Again, we're going to continue to try to pick an issue that we've been having, like the time charge issue. If you would like to see something specifically, like a force account example, a change order example, some sort of pay calculation issue, whatever you want to see us get resolution on. If you're having a problem with it, I can assure you someone else is as well across the state. Reach out, let us know what those are, and we'll talk about them. Same thing from industry contractors, guys. We want to hear from you. If you're continually having issues across the state, let us know about it, and we can add it to this venue and get that information out there.
Luling asked a question. They asked, do we want 30-day estimates during the assembly period? So if the NTP's been issued, if the NTP's been issued, then that's being reported on the project viewer, right?
Yes.
So I guess the answer is yes then.
Well, what we want is that you go in after the NTP and put in the estimated completion date, because otherwise it'll be blank on the project viewer. Then once the assembly period is over, we start day one, we start charging time. That's when the estimates need to be picked up. That's when we're required by law to pay the estimate every 30 days.
And if the assembly period gets extended, I guess the end of the project's going to be extended.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
need to update. If you're doing a change order to extend that and push it back, you need to update that date in the project viewer via the form. So it's going to take, a little tracking on the PE's end to make sure that we're updating those dates, not just the ones that you're running estimates on, but as new projects come out, when those NTPs are issued, you need to go in there and put the estimated completion date, which will in turn be called open to traffic on the project viewer for the traveling public. Again, these guys these are audibles that are happening as things change, and we're doing our best to manage them. And you're the guys that, y'all are the ones doing the work and making it happen. We're just trying to facilitate that. So anything we can do, anything to make it easier, let us know. So we got 2 minutes left. Again, we'll be sending out those lists that I talked about at the beginning to the DAs. DAs, please, send that information out to all your staff. We can get those resolved. Any questions, give us a call up here. Any final thoughts?
Appreciate the engagement today, everybody. We knew
Yep.
we'd get some with that time charge stuff. More to come.
Have a good day, guys.
Thanks.